to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Sewell.
Here.
Reister.
Here.
Buns.
Present.
Wyatt.
Here.
Lawson.
Here.
The motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Consent agenda, anything to remove? If not, I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Citizens' request and oral presentation. Patricia, you want to talk about the recycling bins? The can sizes.
Well, in our area, I'm Patricia Bowles, and I live at 514 Weston Avenue, which is over here off Outdoor Road. Just moved there probably about 2 years now. We previously had the small containers for garbage pickup and for recycle. You know, they were the small blue ones, and then we could do kind of whatever we wanted to do, I guess, with the garbage. Well, a couple of weeks ago, Black Hawk delivered these these containers. One was about that size, 64 gallon for the garbage, and the other one is white large. It's a 96 gallon for recycle. They also altered the schedule for pickup and so forth, which I don't think anybody was terribly concerned about. I think it's a matter of just getting used to that. The thing probably that most people had a concern with was the fact of how we were notified about this. And I did talk to Black Hawk Waste Disposal. I also talked to Katie, who very graciously explained to me how it was all resolved here within the council. She said that it was brought through council at the meeting minutes. It was also advertised in Hudson Herald, and it was also on Facebook. I will say honestly, and as I said, Katie was very gracious about that, and I said, probably not a lot of people do the council, they're not here, for a lot of the council meetings. And I personally don't do Facebook. I'm not enamored with it. I also don't take the Hudson paper. So I think perhaps maybe a more appropriate thing would have been to send out a flyer with our last bill explaining this, and I think people would have been a little bit more amenable to it. The major concern, most of the folks, at least in our area that I talked to, were the size of these containers. Most of us, or a lot of us in that area, are older people. And honestly tell you,
Experienced. Not older, experienced.
experienced, well-seasoned people. Okay. But, I will honestly tell you, I have a concern about that, and I know those things are on wheels, but our driveways are slanted. They're at an angle. And if the driveway has snow or ice on it, I see that maybe as a little bit of a problem getting it down there, even though those things are on wheels. And as another person mentioned to me, Lori, those lids, if a good wind comes, it can pick that lid up and hit you right in the face.
You have to pull them, not push,
Yeah. Again,
which do you know?
yeah, I'm not experienced at that because I've not used those. But anyway, that being said, I think what the most of us would be happy with if we had a choice on the size of them. Now, Black Hawk County Waste Disposal told me they have the two sizes. The 64 gallon, which is the smaller one, the garbage one, and the 96 gallon, which is the recycle one. If we could just go with the smaller one, the 64, and do that for both of them, I think people would be happier with that. I don't know if that's a possibility. The gentleman at Black Hawk told me he thought it would be, if it could be obviously negotiated, first of all, through the council here, because you do have a contract with them, as I understand. Also, as a sideline, he told me when he delivered these things, and I don't know if it was just in our area or where it was at, but he said I was yelled at, screamed at, cursed at. He really got the full extent of it. So I can't say I noticed that in our area, but I don't know. But that's our concern, is if we could have a choice on the size of them. So,
Thanks, Patricia.
all right.
We've had some, Katie and as we've talked, Katie and Chrissy have had some discussions with Black Hawk. And they do definitely seem to where we can do some negotiating. We've got Public Works Committee, and we're gonna discuss at Public Works on Wednesday morning and decide how to approach it and what to ask Black Hawk for. Because I know he had said he could, the challengers, making sure that we don't have an undue amount of paperwork at this end, and it seemed like they would be willing, just depends on, we're gonna have to find out from them, okay, how far extended would it go, would it be individual request, whatever it is, but we'll talk about it Wednesday morning and then have some discussions with Black Hawk, and we'll get back to you, and then if we've got any changes, we'll get them publicized on out.
Okay.
Can we-
Anything else you folks want to add? with that?
Well, that was, thank you.
One question that I would ask you
Sure.
to ask Blackhawk as well is those previous blue bins. Can we set up a date or a time for them to come, if people don't want them, to come back and get them? Because I don't know what the heck to do with it, and I don't want it. So it's just taking up space? Yes.
Just set it out and they'll pick it up.
Oh, they will?
So we
Okay.
need to communicate that out.
Do we have to put a note or something on it saying, take this with you?
No, they know.
Did they
Yeah.
say what day is it, the recycling day probably?
Yep.
Recycling
Okay,
day, which
if
would
we
be-
could like let that go out somehow too, because like I said, I don't want mine, it just takes up space in my garage and I just didn't know what to do with
If it
it.
didn't have holes in the bottom, I'd use it
Well,
for stuff, but with
sure.
holes in the bottom, anything you put in there.
I've got enough,
liquid will
yeah, I've got enough totes everywhere in my life that I don't need one extra that's really heavy, so.
Yeah, okay.
Well, and that was another concern
Sure.
of the folks, was the size, because many of these folks, the size of the garages do not lend to having a larger container. And they're not, aesthetically, they don't look great in front of your garage.
There are also many houses in town, and we discussed this, and that's the reason I was the only one that voted against it, but not all the houses have garages in front. So
Absolutely.
the ones that don't, which is really the main part of town, everybody has to keep theirs out front or wheel them around their entire yard. So we've talked about that, and unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's how it was voted for. But hopefully they can make some adjustments to
Right.
appease people.
Thanks, and you're welcome to leave before this whole meeting is over.
Unless you want to stay, you can. We're exciting.
Wanda, did you have anything you wanted to address?
No, I just came to listen.
Okay.
Wanda likes to listen to
All
us.
right. Gail, Personnel Admin
Yeah,
Committee meeting.
completely forgot.
We had another meeting.
Would you like a copy of the minutes from it?
Yes, please.
I don't know.
I didn't even read it, so.
I thought I'd print them out, but I didn't.
Real, because we only
Here,
had.
I got them.
There
Okay,
we go.
here we go.
Well, I was gonna say mine are.
I was
right
gonna
here.
say ours wasn't, yep, so we met on July 26th. And the one item we had on there was the request for proposals for computer services. And Chrissy had got us 3 RFPs. And so she also laid out a really nice spreadsheet as to what we were looking at and everything. So after, we did not make any decision, because we asked Chrissy to reach out to those that had responded to get a more specific information on their responses. So we had some questions on it and stuff, and so our contract isn't up for
A couple months,
a
yeah.
couple months yet, so we have time to make sure we were comparing apples to apples and not apples to oranges with the different companies, so.
Or apples to oranges that we want for later.
Thanks,
So-
Gail. Any questions for Gail? Public hearings. We've got 7 public hearings tonight. I'll open the public hearing to approve an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hudson, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to failure to assist. And all 7 of these ordinances are basically in order to get us in concert with recent state of Iowa statute changes, correct? Okay.
Correct.
So we really don't have a lot of option other than get out of sync with them. Any written comments? Any comments from the citizens? Close the public hearing. I'll open the public hearing to approve an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hudson, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to interference with official acts. Any written comments?
No.
Any oral comments? Close the public hearing. Open the public hearing to approve an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hudson, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to interference with minor business. Anything written?
Nope.
Any oral? Close the public hearing. Fourth, I'll open the public hearing to approve an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hudson, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to public disorder. Any written comments?
No.
Any oral comments? Close the public hearing. Open the public hearing to approve an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hudson, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to low-speed electric bicycles and fully controlled access facilities. Any written comments?
No.
Any oral comments? I'll close the public hearing. Open the public hearing to approve an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hudson, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to abandoned vehicles. Any written comments?
No.
Any oral comments? Close the public hearing. Open the public hearing to approve an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hudson, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to alcoholic beverage control. Anything written?
No.
No oral comments? Close the public hearing. Okay. Proceed to general government. Hudson City Council maintains the right to waive the first and second readings of the ordinances presented and may waive the third and final reading of the same ordinance within the same council meeting. Items A through G are the ordinances 849 to 855 that relate to these public hearings that we just had. Because of the fact that they are pretty much mandated ordinance changes, I will accept on each one as we get to them a motion to waive the first and second readings.
Are they mandated or are they coming from codification?
They're coming from codification, but
So
it's
they're
all.
not mandated, because
Yeah,
I do have a question.
They
on
are,
one.
they are. They're legislative updates that are coming from Iowa codification.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, I have a question on one, so that's why we'll.
Okay. So item A, discussion action to approve the first reading of ordinance 849, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hudson, Iowa by adding provisions pertaining to failure to assist. And I'll accept either a motion to waive the first and second or a motion to pass the first.
I'd make the motion to accept the first, second.
Okay. Second to the waiver.
Second.
Roll call,
Can we,
Moss.
or discussion first, pardon
Can
me.
didn't we do this with Heather, that we waived the first and second and passed the third all in one?
I thought
Or we
we
waived
did it
have-
one way one time and then
we-
we did it.
Passed
can
the
do it
first-
either way.
We passed the first and waived the second and third.
You can do it either
doesn't
way.
matter, it's just
the
how
same
it's
thing.
written up.
The last one we did, we waived the first and second,
Second.
then we had a motion to pass through the third.
Third.
Right.
Because
That's
we
how
did it
last
somehow
time.
in one
But
swipe,
we
but it
did.
doesn't much matter.
This is the same thing.
Okay.
So we
I'm
could
just
do
making
that?
it easy for
Yeah,
anybody.
for what I'm writing
But it
down.
still took two
you-
motions on each item, right?
No.
Mm-mm.
No, so
It's
you
just
can.
one motion.
So yeah,
Waive the
you
first
can
and
motion to approve the first reading and waive the second and third reading all in one motion.
Okay, would you like to amend your motion to that?
For
Yes.
all, well,
Each-
each
we have to-
individual
each
item,
one
but if you're gonna
individually.
waive the second and third reading of an ordinance.
So I will amend my
Okay.
motion.
Okay, so we're motioning to move to waive the second and third reading and prove the first, correct?
Yeah, you approve the first and you waive the
Okay.
second and third,
That's what I thought, just so we ease
Yeah.
of
Yep, yep.
All
paperwork.
right, ready?
and words in the paper,
Lawson,
and
Yes.
words in the paper.
Buns,
Yes.
Sewell,
Aye.
Wyatt,
Aye.
Reister.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, item B, discussion action to approve the first reading of ordinance 850, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hudson, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to interference with official acts. And I would accept the motion to pass the first and waive the second and third readings of this ordinance.
Just because, no, it says up here to waive the first and second and then pass the third.
And that's
final.
what I think
And I think
is,
that's what we need to do. That's just my,
To stay, so now we gotta go back to.
Well,
No.
no, you can, Heather said that you can do it either way. At the end of the day, it means the same thing. It's
What
just,
if we
okay.
just skip
I
two
just-
and do 1 and 3?
sure. Again, it's still the same thing.
Just asking.
I mean, I can change the
And your point
The
is the
agenda.
fact that we had it headed, that of
It's
waiving the
up
first
there.
and second.
Yeah.
Okay, so B, I'll make the motion to waive the first and second and go to the third reading.
Okay, we'll do it the same way
That's
that
fine.
our heading is then.
Whatever works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I need a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Okay, roll call.
Lawson,
Aye.
Wyatt,
Aye.
Reister,
Aye.
Sewell,
Aye.
Buns,
Aye.
motion carries 5-0.
Item C, discussion action to approve the first reading of ordinance 851, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hudson, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to peddlers, solicitors, and transient merchants. I'll accept a motion to waive the first and second and pass through the third.
Matt approved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Reister,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Sewell,
Aye.
Buns,
Aye.
Wyatt,
Aye.
motion carries 5-0.
We'll let Lori get the next one.
Round robin here.
And item D, discussion action to approve the first reading of ordinance 852, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hudson, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to public disorder. I'd accept a motion to waive the first and second and pass through the third.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Sewell,
Aye.
Buns,
Aye.
Reister,
Aye.
Wyatt,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
motion carries 5-0.
Item E, discussion action to approve the first reading of ordinance 853, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hudson, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to low-speed electric bicycles and full controlled access facilities. I would accept a motion to waive the first and second and pass through the third.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Okay, here's the one I have a question on.
Yep, yep.
Does anybody know what this means?
I do,
What
because
does
I
this
looked it up.
Thank you.
They're adding electrical bicycles into the law. As a
So-
scooter, those scooters that they're coming out with and
Right.
that kind of stuff,
So does
that's,
that mean electric bicycles can't ride on a trail?
no, they can.
Okay. Kind of where I was just confused by this.
So they'd be classified like a golf cart or
Like a
something?
bicycle.
Like a
Oh, like a
bicycle.
bicycle.
Yeah, it's just an electric.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what I thought it meant, but I was like reading this going, hold up, what's prohibited on? But thank you for looking it up
you're
ahead of time.
welcome.
I figured that's what you had.
Can we, the public, ask a question?
No,
I have the right to let you do that, so yes.
Oh, thank you, at least
Or
you know
not.
the rule eight.
Yep.
Just back where it talks about transient merchants and peddlers and
Mhm.
solicitors and strangers who knock on your door, what does this do?
makes them, they have to get a license here at City Hall before they can go out and talk to anybody, just like it has been.
Unless they're in a protected class, such as a religious organization to some extent, that have permits that supersede these.
And this is actually, the amended section is about, people under 18.
Oh, that they can't do it?
They,
Girl Scout cookies?
That's a.
so they cannot do a door-to-door sales for more than 89 calendar days in a calendar year. So,
Oh.
is all that this is amending.
Girl Scout cookies would be a different subject
Yeah.
because it's under
They're
a
not-
local organization, it's not a peddler.
So if you have a peddler come to your door, you should be able to ask them for what's your city permit, or they should have an explanation on why they don't have to have a city permit.
And we have not had anything this year, but we have had in the past. I don't care if they have a permit, they can be a nuisance. I kind of get concerned
Mhm.
about,
Well, when they come onto your private property, obviously you can tell them you're on my premises. It does not,
And you
it
don't
does
have
not
to
give them
answer
the
the door.
authority to come on if you're not giving them permission.
I can stick a nasty sign out, I guess, but
Yeah.
it's good to know that, thank you.
Yep. I've actually seen residences that no peddlers permitted, or something like
No
that.
solicitors.
Yeah, no solicitors, so.
There, you know, all the businesses have that too, no solicitations.
Did you see my thing by
But
the door?
I just don't answer the door.
Well, yeah,
That makes it easy.
I know, but my windows are always open.
So are
and I
mine.
can see somebody walk by that
So are
locks the
mine.
door in their face.
Yeah.
So are mine, I still don't answer the door.
I don't wanna be rude.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
they're a
they
nuisance.
can be.
That's true. I don't wanna be rude, but get off.
Yeah. All right, go to item F,
No,
discussion
we
action.
need roll call.
Oh, you have a roll call yet?
No.
Okay, do a roll call.
Wyatt,
Aye.
Sewell,
Aye.
Buns,
Aye.
Reister,
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, now we're on F?
F.
Okay. Discussion action to approve the first reading of ordinance 854, an ordinance amending the code of ordinances of the city of Hudson, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to abandoned vehicles. Of a motion to waive the first and second and pass through the third.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Buns,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Reister,
Aye.
Wyatt,
Aye.
Sewell.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Let's try not to claim or take any abandoned vehicles in.
Item G,
Gee,
Yep.
discussion action to approve the first reading of ordinance 855, an ordinance amending the code of ordinances of the city of Hudson, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to alcoholic beverage control. I'll accept a motion to waive the first and second and pass through the third.
whose turn is
So
it?
moved.
There we go, Lori's turn. I'll second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Sewell,
Aye.
Wyatt,
Aye.
Reister,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Buns.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item H, discussion action to approve resolution 2814, resolution setting a public hearing regarding annexation. And this will be for a public hearing on August 30th, and the public hearing is for annexation of about 3+ acres being requested by a party representing Dollar General. So that public hearing will be August 30th.
This is just setting the public hearing,
Just set the
correct?
public hearing. Do I have a
So
motion to
moved.
approve?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Wyatt,
Aye.
Buns,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Reister,
Aye.
Sewell.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item I, discussion action to approve resolution 2815, resolution for approval of wage adjustment for the city of Hudson Water Sewer Superintendent, Hudson, Iowa. This is for Jeremy Even. He has got his grade 2 certifications.
Go, Jeremy.
So this is the normal increases for that, and we also, because he's now grade 2, we're able to adjust downward the contract with Chris Even that was supporting until we got this, so
Until we
it's
got it.
it's almost an offset.
Which we
scenario.
have actually done.
Okay,
They've signed it, so.
so do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Appreciate Jeremy.
Roll call?
Lawson,
Aye.
Buns,
Aye.
Wyatt,
Aye.
Sewell,
Aye.
Reister.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Oh, thank you, because that's not an easy one to get taken care
Yeah.
of, so we appreciate all his dedication to that when you see him.
Informational items, there's about 10 of them in there. Reminder items, regularly scheduled meetings held at council chambers except for electric board and library board. Public Works Committee meeting is August 11th at 7 a.m. Mayor's Task Force Committee meeting, August 17th at 5 p.m. Public Safety, August 26th at 4 p.m. Personnel Admin and Finance Committee, August 30th at 4:45 p.m. Next council meetings, Monday, August 30th, and Monday, September 13th. And what I forgot to do on the agenda is the closed session we had on the agenda. We will not be having the closed session.
Okay.
Matt, your motion? Motion to adjourn? All in favor, say aye.
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 We're adjourned. Thank you
Bye,
all.
all.